So we will be doing a simple, short practice on the death meditation today. This is the first time that I have done a death meditation with you. I think we've done asava, but not death. So the death meditation is quite an important practice. Why is it important? Obviously, because we all die. Hence, just like an exam, for anything that is quite serious in our life, if you're going for an interview that's going to give you your dream job, if you're going to be given away in marriage, if you're, that time has passed for most of you, but at least even your children. But regardless, all of these important things, isn't it? We prepare, right? Even if we have a serious medical condition, we do not just go to one doctor. If we have the ability, we go to maybe 2 or 3 doctors for a second review and a third review sometimes. This is the way that we treat things that are quite serious and important. Death is also one which is very important, very serious in life, isn't it? So much so that people often do not like to talk about it if they do not have some sort of spiritual sort of understanding, be it whatever religion it is, right? So the death meditation is a meditation that should be practiced often, if not regularly, daily, as a means of preparation. Now, when we say preparation, okay, some might say, okay, I'm quite young for this. No one is young for this. Because if we know anything at all, is that life and the day at the time that we have to let go of everything that we have held dear comes most suddenly. It's like someone pulling the carpet from under our feet. You don't expect it, and then it hits you. And when you're finally there, having to go through it, it brings up a lot of anxiety because it is something that you did not foresee. This is not something that you expected. That is why we prepare. We prepare our minds for this very important aspect that each and every person in life goes through. And the death meditation is a way of preparing. Of course, it can lead to insights. Of course, it can take you, aid you in your sort of progress towards enlightenment. But today we are not as big, because with me, you have not done it earlier. We are not going to go into the deeper stages, but we are going to focus on a basic preparation, right? A basic preparation which will run through first life. We will be starting with the breath, moving on to life and the way that change has affected our life. So the nature of anicca within this process of life. Can you imagine instances? I mean, if we even just look at the mirror, we look different from what we looked like 10 years ago, right? Regardless of how old you are, whether you are young or in your mature ages, this change is visible, right? People mature, people age. This is a part and parcel of life. So we observe that part first. We start with the breath, we go on to change. And then we move on to, with change, the things that we have to let go. Right? With change, the things that we have to let go in life. We most often let go of one thing and we cling on to another. That is the way, just like a monkey would jump from one tree onto another. He held so tightly the branch of the earlier tree, but now clasped tightly to the branch of the new tree. Just so we cling and we cling, but we focus not on the clinging, but that which we let go of. Do you understand? Not the clinging, but that which we had to let go of. Then we move into the body, into the four elements: the hardness, the softness, the temperature, the fluid nature, the airy natures of the body. And then we go deeper to feel the skeleton. The skeleton. The skeleton is a visual that we often take in the contemplation of death, right? Now, as we, or together with our basic training, or rather not basic, but training in Anapana, or even with the sensations, we have always regarded the importance of non or unjudgmental awareness, right? Remember that this is also to do with the same unjudgmental awareness. Do you understand? Right? So when you are observing the things that you let go of or have let go of, this is not you telling yourself the things that you have to let go. This is just as you look behind you when you see whatever it is that you see through your window. You see the trees, the flowers, the pots, the greenery. Maybe you see your neighbor's house. Whatever it is, you just see it. You're not choosing what to see. You see what is through that window, isn't it? In the same way, when the only thing that you do is direct your attention to the past, from this moment on to the past. And then the judgment, you have to take care not to allow the judgment to arise. Because when the judgment arises, this is an image of your Atma, self. So then it takes it personally. Do you understand? Right? It takes it personally. Now, looking through the window and seeing whatever which is there, not making a judgment about it, and going for a stroll in your garden, right? And the main aim of this stroll is to see how the plants are doing. Now, do you see there's a clear difference between these two? In both instances, you're seeing the garden. However, the first one is more based on the fact of being unjudgmental towards what you see. And the second one is about being judgmental about what you are seeing. Do you understand? It is because of that judgment that you would then say, oh, I need to put fertilizer on this. I need to do some cleaning up here. I need to cut the grass a little bit more. There are a bit of snails. I need to do something to that. You know what I mean? Right? In that way, we focus on unjudgmental observation. Right? And then we will move on to a bit of metta and then come out of our meditation. All right? Is that clear? I will guide you, don't worry. Taking a deep breath in. If there is any sort of disgust or fear in your mind, as you take a deep breath in and let go of the breath, with confidence in the Buddha, with confidence in the limitless compassion the Buddha had while teaching these parts of Dhamma to us weak beings. Let that power allow you to let go of your fear and put you into the hands of the Dhamma, Dhammo have rakati dhammachari. Allow the Dhamma to unfold within yourself as you take a deep breath in, letting go of the breath very gently. Allow yourself to guide your attention to the breath, observing the breath, the mind, focus upon this breath. With every passing moment, allowing yourself to go deeper and deeper into a state of awareness without judgment, without worry, being profoundly settled within this moment, within this moment. Looking forward to nothing, regretting nothing, because you are in this moment right now. Put all your other responsibilities, duties, anything that might be weighing you down, just put it away for now. As you focus upon the breath, focus upon the breath. Focus. Gently, gently, guiding your attention to observe without any judgment to the visual of everything through the earth that change. Some of it because of no fault of yours. With age, from a little fetus being born, from a little baby to growing up, who you were when you were in your teens, and how you, with time, experience simply life taking over, how you mature through the years. Change happened constantly. This change that happened continues to happen this very day. The friendships that you had, being so close to some of your friends, to now not knowing where they might be. The person when you were young who never imagined that they would be married and having children, now married and having grandchildren. The constant change through the journey of life. Health, sickness, emotions that you never thought you would experience when you were young, to the emotions that you then had to experience. All part of the mechanisms of change, time. Practice may at some points become uncomfortable. But when it does, allow yourself to observe, not in a personal manner, not with a sense of self, but as a person who is now, for this moment, without the self, without taking it personally. Just like you. These are natures that all beings, human, animal, any being, experiences. Experiences. Gently, gently. Allowing yourself to guide your attention to the present. Acknowledging the existence of change in every moment. The nature of impermanence. The nature of impermanence. Gently, gently. Let us go even deeper into the present. Focus on the elements at hand. Starting with the nature of fire, the fire element in this whole body. Observe the fire element. Observing the element as a phenomenon which is ever present within you, around you. Observe, observe. From the topmost part of the head to the tips of the toes, only observe the fire. Observing the arising, passing away, and arising again in continuous motion. arising and passing away. Observe deeper and deeper. But let us not take anything personally. Simply observe, simply observe. Gently guiding your attention now from the fire to the water element, the nature of fluidity all around the body, the pulsating beat of the heart as it pumps blood all over the body, all over the body, the movement within, shifting from fire as you put aside fire and go into water. Observe, observe, observe. Shifting your attention now from water to earth, observing the earth element all across the body, the hardness, the softness, apparent all over, maybe a little bit more apparent where the body touches the body touching the seat of the chair, the hair brushing against the forehead. All of the experiences is the earth element. The earth element. Observe. 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 Gently from the abdomen, shifting your attention to air. The air element all across the body. The air you breathe, the lungs, the stomach expanding, contracting with the flow of the air. The blood remaining fluid with its nature flowing with air. The skin malleable with the air element within it. Observe the air element all across the body, all across the body. Observe, observe. Gently guiding your attention from the air element to the whole body, observing the unique way all these elements interlink all through the body, supporting one another, supporting each other, carry on the natures of those respective elements. And as you are seated in meditation, gently, as you observe the nature of fire, earth, water, and wind working together, simply observe. Imagine with time what happens to the skin with aging, to the strong bone, how all of this, the physical changes attribute to the elements, to the elements. Imagine just as the withering away of the body, the dissolution of strength and the arising of weak. Imagine what happens to any being within the sense sphere, an animal, human, at the point of death. How the elements break up, unable to carry on its functioning, triggering the start of decay. Observe, observe, observe. different stages, even if the body was put under the ground, buried, how this physical body would start decomposing, leaving behind the skeleton, a harder material to decompose that easily. The skin and organs give in much faster. Rich, poor, black or white, or Asian, one child or 10 children, respected or looked down upon, of high social standing or low social standing, regardless, at the breaking up of the body, at the point of death, how we return to the same status as we were once. When we started our journey to the fetus, no status, no wealth, no friend, in a state of absolute nothingness. The cycle of rebirth and death. The constant nature of arising and passing away. You and I, all of us. Death becomes us all. Even the great beings as the Buddha, even all the powerful men who control the world, even the poor beggar by the side of the road, friend and enemy, all waxed in this constant cycle of rebirth and death. Even gods themselves fall No power surpasses the nature of the world. Impermanence begets us all with illness or without illness. Impermanence linger in every molecule and particle within this body that we so powerfully carry. Impermanent in every corner. Only the one who understands impermanence would one day be freed from it into a state of sublime enlightenment, far beyond the grasp of the world anymore. Anymore. Taking a deep breath in, very gently, slowly. Gathering ourselves to now the question, what do I take with me after death? After I lose control of this body and this body decays or is burned to ashes, what do I take with me? Good deeds, the Buddha says. Good karma and bad karma that you've chosen to do throughout your life. With all the frailties of the world of nature imposed by impermanent suffering in oneself, we endeavor to live, to do good, to build relationships, to help others. With all the pain that we undergo, we try to relieve the pain of those around us, of those who need our support. The blessings that we receive from these acts of good is all that matters at the end. A loving for this cultivation is the mind and body. realizing the weaknesses in our own being. Let us radiate thoughts of loving kindness towards ourselves. Just as I undergo all the changes imposed through the nature of impermanence, others too undergo the same. Young and old, weak or powerful, big or small, we all experience the same natures imposed upon our lives by nature. May all beings be well and happy. May all beings be well and happy. May all beings be well and happy. Well and happy. Well and happy. Well. May all beings, including myself, have the strength to embrace the reality of life and work towards wholesome acts of mind and body. Work towards the liberation from this cycle of rebirth and death, however hard it might be. May we be able to all work towards the ending of this suffering. May all beings be well and happy. Be well. Gently taking a deep breath in, breathing out, relaxing the mind, the body. Taking another deep breath in, breathing out, relaxing deeper. Taking another deep breath in, Breathing out and gently opening your eyes and awakening to the present. Sadhu. All right. So, do we have any questions? I would. Yes, dear.
Can you hear me, Bhante?
Yes, I can.
Bhante, first, thank you for that absolutely exquisite and brilliant meditation. I cannot tell you how meaningful it was and how wonderful it was. Thank you, Bhante, from the bottom of my heart. When you did that meditation, Bhante, you led us so beautifully through it. When you brought in the different elements, was there any particular reason why you started with fire? Because we normally say Pataviya Potato fire, but you started with fire and then you went to the body and so on. Was there any particular reason you followed that one?
Well, fire element and the earth element are quite heavy elements. When now we did fire, we went into water and then earth and then air. So it is always important to sort of have a specific break between fire and earth all the time, because fire and earth are very close elements. And when done close to each other, so if you did earth and fire or fire and earth, it would, the burning sensation, there is more potential for the burning sensation to increase and for experience to become a little bit more increasingly unbearable. So that is the reason that we should just space it out. Also, we observed the earth element a lot. So in this session, why I decided to put the fire element first is because we usually do the earth element. You know, it is because it is a first element. The fire element is a rather new element of observation compared to the earth element and how we observe the earth element. So to bring in more a state of newness rather than allowing for a state of comparison with different previous, you know. So, but it truly doesn't matter. You can even start with, let's say, even air and then move on, right? As long as when we get better at it, of course, earth and fire can be done together, right? But in the beginning stages, it's always better to do it separately and far apart as possible.
Thank you, Bhante. And just one thing today, I don't know for others, I don't use earphones because normally I had no problem, but it was very muffled and I was really straining to listen. Could you please, Bhante, this exquisite meditation, can you put it on the website so that we may listen to it again?
Okay.
Please, Bhante. I know you're very busy, but
yeah,
find the time. It doesn't matter if it is not edited or anything, just to listen, because of the I missed a portion of it because I didn't want to meddle around with the computer. Anyway, I'm not very good at it to clarify the sound, but I'm going to use earphones after this. Thank you, Bhante.
Thank you. Yes. Sujata, you had something?
Bhante, it's a repeat question. Repeat.
Yeah.
That is what does it mean when you say, you have been telling that to me even earlier, without judgment, no judgment, judgmental. I just can't get it into my head what actually it means in the process of meditation.
So,
yes.
From a practical angle, now, for example, we have the internal dialogue. The internal dialogue tends to step into the meditation to sort of give us a conclusion of what we sometimes see or conclusion of what we sometimes experience.
Yeah.
So removing the judgment or not judging is not
Yeah.
leeway to that internal dialogue to now coming to a conclusion about what has been experienced. So when it does, right now, for example, you're observing the breath, and then a thought arises, this is a long breath, or
Yeah.
is this, is a question arises, is this the involuntary breath, or is this the, am I controlling this? All these questions arise, isn't it?
Yes, yes.
That's the judgment.
Okay. Now I just got a bit of it right. Thank you for that. I was actually baffled. I was wondering what does it mean you're judging something?
Yes. So that is, any sort of conclusion that you arrive to as you meditate. Now, for example, let's say you're doing metta.
Yeah.
And maybe even during this specific meditation, we were thinking about friends that you don't speak to, right? There might be, unfavorable reasons as to why we do not speak to them. It can arouse anger, isn't it? Or frustration, concern in the past.
Yeah.
That frustration, anger arises when the judgment is there, when the internal dialogue brings in the name of that person or why you're not. Now you see, the judgment conclusion has been arrived to. We do not support that conclusion.
Yeah. I understand now.
Not by now going into the very practical aspects of it. How do you not support the conclusion? It is not in saying, no, this is wrong. No, right? Because now that is a conclusion upon the conclusion.
That I came to, yes. Yeah.
Judgment upon the judgment. Or, it is not in saying, I shouldn't be thinking like this, because that's another judgment. Right? We do not give the internal dialogue leeway, period.
What is that now?
So we do not feed that conversation.
You don't feed the conversation, right?
Do not feed it. So when it arises, we do not reduce slowly. You can't do it all for just by deciding it's difficult for some to do it. Most, actually, not some, most. So then that is where, when your focus is no more on a sublime nature towards the object, this judgment will reduce and become no more. Now you have come into present moment awareness.
Again, yes.
Right? Present awareness.
Yeah, I think I'll try to remember all that. Thank you, Bhante. It was nice.
Remember just one thing, not to feed the conclusion builder.
Yeah.
To feed it. And then it will reduce.
Yeah, okay.
Right? However true or false conclusion might be, it doesn't matter.
Yes.
Whether the conclusion is true or false, it does not matter.
Okay.
What matters is at this moment the object.
Right, yeah.
Not applying a sense of self, Atma. Your judgment is a manifestation of self, what I believe. Do you understand?
Yeah.
Go with it, Sujata. When questions arise, we can clear it, part to part. Damsiri, you wanted to say something?
Thank you, Bhante. Bhante.
Okay.
Yes, Bhante, I'm also happy one step further into our meditation practice. And can you tell us what is your recommendation? How often we should actually practice Maranaspati Bhavana? Once a week, twice a week, or something like that?
You would say every day.
Every day?
Yeah.
Oh, right. Okay.
That's the what. Now, Damsiri.
Yeah.
Marananusati Bhavana, it comes under the umbrella of Anicca Sanya.
Right. Okay.
And Anicca Sanya is what the Buddha referred to as arising in the passing away of the five aggregates. With the Buddha practice every single moment. Oh,
I see.
Right? Because now this is now this is where Dhamma knowledge and Dhamma seasoning, maturation comes into play. Because when we practice this sort of a thing, people could think, then why do I do all of this?
Yes. Yes.
Why do I do all of this? Why am I struggling? Why am I trying to, why am I so bothered with, the responsibilities towards my children, and, all of these things can arise very easily. But it is good to bring to mind, into contemplation, that the Buddha referred to two types of truth in this world. Sammati Satcha, conventional truth, and Paramattha Satcha.
Yes.
Without Sammati Satcha, we cannot see Paramattha Satcha. Right? It is not to say, of course, Paramattha by the reason of its word itself, it is of a higher truth. But you cannot see Paramattha without Sammati. Both of these attributes have to go hand in hand. That is when the Buddha stopped Atta-Kilamatana Yoga, self-mortification, right? Because he realized that this body is important as a support factor to the stability of the mind, right? So even if you don't start off with long periods of time, even if it is 5 minutes to recollect the reality of the fact that one fine day we die.
Yeah.
For me personally, I could say that this specific meditation, or this structure of meditation, has helped me to not focus on some of the petty things. Not that I don't focus on the petty things, like of course I do, I can be quite petty myself, but when, of course, then I sort of put it into sort of some sort of contemplation, I realized, look, we are fighting for all of these things, we're fighting for this and that and this and that, but at the end we are all going to die, right? So what should I then focus on? Then I should focus on living, first of all, living a good life, right? Not with wealth and riches and all of that. If you have that, that's a plus. However, a good life equates to good, wholesome relationships. You know what I mean? Friends that you can trust, that are not fake, but people that you can be authentic with, healthy family relationships, kusala, good sort of acts that you do to help other people, to help yourself, bhavana, dhamma, these things which connect you with, what life can be about, the good part of life, right? Because, and I say it in that way because bad is also a part of life. But we decide, you and I, we decide which part of life we are going to enthrall upon. Right? So in every way, this is not a way of saying, right? We often take it in a very negative connotation, and a connotation that is far from what Dhamma holds. Right? What Dhamma holds. Right? So yes, that's it. So answer is every day, even starting with a short amount.
Thank you, Bhante. Thank you.
Yes, Shriyani.
This was really a good experience for me, Bhante. I have done before the different type of Marananusati Bhavana that was to focus on removing individual parts of the body, like the hair, the skin, and the flesh, and seeing them separately. And but this way, the way you taught today was very useful for me to see all the elements very separately, and then start removing, because I struggled at the beginning with the other technique, how to see this Marananusati Bhavana. But this way, it was very useful for me, and I learned a lot today, how to separate myself through seeing through the elements.
Thank you,
This
Bhante.
technique is also, a very well-known technique. It is the Asubhagami Marnanusati, right?
Yeah.
Where we sort of separate the different kunapakotas. We separate it and we visualize a stripping away of it. But that is Asubhagami, and we have just sort of this was the first time that I'm doing this. So this is actually a more basic, if I might say, of that, where the Asubhagami is a little bit more intense compared comparatively. It's a bit more intense and sometimes a little bit more grueling to people. If they start.
Maybe that is why I struggled to removing. I couldn't to remove part by part of myself. I always told my teacher, I can't do it, but I can see it doing it for somebody else. But then she said, yes, you do it with somebody else and then put it onto you. But today it was very, very useful for me to see things individually within myself. And when at the end of it, I could start seeing the whole body pulsating, and being able to strip into pieces like that kind of experience. I don't know. I hope we can do it again and again. I really love it. Thank you, Bhante. Sadhu, sadhu.
All right. I'm very glad to know that it was fruitful for people. And I thought, the only reason that I sort of did this is because, we live in a time that we must be ready to die. You and I. This is not about age. You and I, really. And preparing for it, preparing for this inevitable journey that we have to go upon is something that is, what the Buddha says as most required. So yes, you're trying to say something?
Yes, Bhante. It was the very first experience for me to learn about Marnasmriti, like the meditation we did today. And I was really, really taken up by it. And I went through each part. As you said it was a wonderful experience. And also, Bhante, now, people sometimes die like very consciously, and people die in their sleep too. So when that happens, what happens then? Like, is the mind alert when you're dying in sleep, or do you get really, you're conscious and what's happening? I want to say, so if somebody's sick and in hospital, then you're going to die and you're unable to do things. But some people die peacefully in their sleep, while being active and all that. So I was curious about that,
Yeah. With all honesty, I'm not sure what happened because I can't remember.
No. I'm just saying. Why do people die peacefully like that in their sleep? And sometimes people suffer in the hospitals, and some people say things, and it's their karma, I suppose.
Well, I think it can be a mix of many things. Circumstances, karmas, a lot of things, but at the end, now something that I can answer is the fact of when we, for example, like metta meditation, when we practice metta, you embody metta. Now, the reactions that we have to everything is a reaction embodied by metta, or with metta rather. Likewise, when we have Marnanusati, right? Because even for a split moment, now I remember when my father passed, right? So he had this sort of artery aneurysm, which was, something that you have one in it said in the statistics, it said 1 to 2 for every 100,000 people, because it is such an easy thing to sort of detect, apparently, right? So, and I remember when my father got this attack, I mean, I wasn't there, I heard, was, you know, they had to put him under because he was getting so anxious. I mean, he was, you know, he was getting too excited. The moment that he woke up, he got too excited. So the heart started beating harder. So they had to put him under again, right? Now, situations of this sort, you say, no, you know, that was a personal experience of mine, where my father, of course, was not a meditator. He was nothing of, you know, he was not a, you know, he was not into this sort of practice or anything of the sort. And, you know, and how many other people might we have seen in that sort of manner, the doctors here, or even some of your relatives, right? This aspect of Marnanusati, or, you know, when the time comes, being able to let go, right, is something to be cultivated not at the last moment. It is something to be cultivated as we live, right? As we live. I mean, don't you think with coronavirus, you know, I don't know, maybe your children have this feeling, you know, we don't get to see our family. We don't get to sort of visit, as, you know, we don't have the luxury of sort of going about traveling, seeing our friends.
Yes.
So don't you have this sense of higher sort of, higher sense of sort of appreciation now of those relationships, of your family, of your friends? Maybe your children have more appreciation of you because they were not able to see you for about a year last year or this year, right? And this gives us more appreciation to the life that we live. Marnanusati is also such sort of a practice where, knowing that we do die, we try to live in the most wholesome states possible to us. And that is what Marnanusati tries to foster. That mentality, that mind of cherishing, not with attachment, but with value, right? Value for the present and what we have within the present. You know, what we have within the present. So that is, you know, that comes through the embodiment of the practice. So even if, I mean, we might say people die peacefully, but peace has nothing to do with it, really, right? I mean, peace has nothing to do with it. Just like, for example, you know, the stories that we have in the Pretavastu and all of that, some of these deaths were peaceful, or rather it appeared peaceful, but in the mind for a split second arose that tanha. For the split second arose that sense of, oh my gosh, what's happening, kind of thing, you know. It is for that we prepare, right? So we are not living to die, but we will be living.
Yeah, we know that, yes.
Right. All right. So it's 15 past my allocation.
Okay. Thank you, Bhante.
Yeah.
Good afternoon.
And tomorrow we have the meditation at 2 o'clock. I'm sorry, in the morning, and then 2 o'clock we have the talk. And I will see you tomorrow. Take care and have a good rest.
Good Sarnai, Bhante.
Good Sarnai,
Bhante.
Good Sarnai, Adurani.